when my daughter is growing up, when she was overseas, it also meant that my parents had very little time with her. So things like, her saying her first words, when she first managed to walk on her own, they're not really there. Hi everyone, my name is Chin Yu. I'm 36 years old and I'm a client advisor at Providend. Back in 2012, I was working for Singapore Airlines and I was offered this opportunity to pursue what they call the Overseas Manager Scheme. And then this scheme, basically you go overseas and eventually you would progress to become Overseas Country Manager. So I thought that was definitely a good career opportunity then, but there was a few decisions I needed to make during that time. So one of which was, I was actively involved in sports and I was playing hockey. So ice hockey was something that I started when I was 16 years old and I was playing for about 10 years. And then at that same time, we were preparing for the SEA Games. And I thought that actually that was quite a huge honor to be part of this team. But on the other hand, going overseas meant that I needed to give up, being part of this team and join them, in this journey to compete in the SEA Games. So that was one decision I needed to make. And at that point in time, I decided that career was more important to me. So I prioritized career over sports. Now the other major decision for me at that time was that my wife needed to resign from her job so that she can follow me overseas. It wasn't a small decision because leaving her job means that she needs to transition from her current working life to a new phase where she needs to stay at home, take care of the family, and of course the other impact is that being away from the workforce for a few years, she's going to see an impact in her career over the long run. At the time we were planning for marriage, and to me, being together physically as a couple is very important. If she were to say no at that time, if she were to say, I'm not comfortable going overseas, I definitely wouldn't have accepted this offer to be located, out of Singapore. Because, in comparison with the initial decision of between career and sports, I prioritized career, but now, between career and family, family is the most important to me. So now fast forward to today, we are back in Singapore, and I always say that, obviously managing the money is very important, we keep a close watch, but the other resource that I always want to emphasize is that time is also a resource, and we want to balance this resource very carefully. And today it's really between work, between family, and of course my own hobbies as well, like hockey. We make sure that every weekend we spend time at our parents' place. And why that is important is because when I think back, when my daughter is growing up, when she was overseas, it also meant that my parents had very little time with her. So things like, her saying her first words, when she first managed to walk on her own, they're not really there. At that time, we had to travel back and forth, and there's always this very short window of time where, my parents or my in-laws, they get to spend my daughter. We're talking about 1 or 2 weeks a year. So now, we want to make sure that they are there every weekend. Although, sometimes there are other commitments, but we want to make sure that we protect this sacred weekend, that my family get to spend time with my daughter and we always get to eat together, as a family. So hockey is something that I used to be playing about 3 to 4 times a week in the past, now a lot lesser. So there was one time I remember that a friend asked if I could join a roller hockey league with him. And I actually turned him down because I found that I could not commit the additional time, or rather to carve out more time to join this hockey league. So something he said at that time that I remembered very clearly was that he said, how could you manage other people's money if you can't manage your own time? And that really got me thinking. And I realized that it's actually the other way around. It is not that we are not managing our time well. It is exactly that I'm trying to manage my time, that I needed to turn down certain things. So again, be it time or money, it's not about trying to create more, but it is about allocating that resource towards the things that are most important to you. So now here at Providend, it is something that I always incorporate into the conversations I have with clients. Because Managing money or wealth management to me is not about growing your money as much as possible, but rather you want to first figure out what is the important goals that you have. Be it retirement, be it children education, or be it other lifestyle goals that you wish to achieve. And then from there you can better decide, okay, how do you want to allocate those resources to support the important goals that you have decided.